Okay, I am here with Layla Kelly and I am Ashlyn Anderson doing my interview for my Quest 1110 class on community ethics. My topic is house affordability in Utah. And I think that this affects Layla because as a student here at the U, Layla will be looking for a house to get next year. After doing some research, I have found that housing here in Utah is increasing the prices. As there are already very little options for sophomores to live on campus, especially as Utah keeps on admitting more and more students, most students will be looking for a house to live on next year, especially because that Layla is living from out of state. As this is an issue, students who attend college in Utah will be affected. My first question for Layla is, do you agree that this topic affects you along with other students at the U, and why?
Yes, I would agree that this issue does affect me and other students here at the U. As a student who's already paying for my tuition, with some help from my family, having to pay more just to live here will affect me and already is affecting me. I'm already paying for classes, my meal plan, living in the dorms, and for my Greek life and my sorority. And next year, I'm going to have to pay an increased house amount, which will put a financial weight on me and my family.
Okay, yes, I totally agree with you because I'm in the same boat that I am living from out of state as well, and I'm having to pay all those expenses as well. So, another question I have is as prices continue to raise, how will this affect you, especially being out of state?
So as someone who's from Wisconsin, which is typically it's a cheap state to live in, moving here has already taken a financial toll on me. It is way cheaper to live in Wisconsin than in many states. And I see this in many ways, like when I pump up my gas, when I get groceries and just utilities and things I need in general. The housing is way cheaper in Wisconsin for even going to school there or just living there. So as Utah housing continues to raise, it will continue to have a greater effect on my financial status.
Yeah, so I did some research on that and I found that to live in Wisconsin versus Utah, it is 4% cheaper, which doesn't sound like a big number, but as everything adds up, like you said, the gas, just like living here in general and groceries, like that will start to take a financial toll, especially because you're used to living like a cheaper life. So, as another statistic that I found was a 40% increase on pricing for Utah housing has happened since 2015. So, the national average in 2018 was around $229,700, and here in Utah, it was up to $303,300. So, how does this concern you, seeing that Utah already had higher averages in other states, and that was just in 2018, and since then there's been it's cost more to live in the United States?
This does concern me because if that was in 2018 and the world has already become more expensive to live in, which was only 7 years ago, I can't imagine how much more expensive this will cost next year, and I imagine it'll continue to go up faster than it was before. If it was 2018 7 years now, I think it'll go up even quicker as the years progress.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and that's when I saw that statistic, I was pretty shocked to see that even that long ago, without some of the tariffs that's happened now, that housing has already spiked that much in Utah. So, a quote that I found on a ProQuest article by an anonymous writer, it says that Utah is facing several threats, the article is called Utah Facing Several Threats to Housing Affordability, and the article stated, housing prices in Utah will continue to increase at rates well above the national average. So, would this have affected of where you chose to go to college if you would have known this before coming to Utah?
Yeah, if I did know that Utah was going to be this expensive to live in, especially as the years progress, and I'm going to have to be paying for more, like paying for an apartment over a dorm and more groceries, that definitely would have affected my decision. I also was in my state, I have good schools that I could have went to for a lot cheaper, so it definitely would have affected my overall decision of where I'd be going for my total 4 years. I'm already paying out-of-state tuition, which is costing me like $27,000 a semester for college, and with no scholarships this year, I'm now seeing that housing will continue to increase. It definitely does worry me a lot about my financial status in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I could totally agree that because from being from California, it's not cheap to live there, but because it would have been cheaper to go to in-state schools at California, the housing wouldn't have had as much as like a financial down like weight on me as it is coming here, because I will also be looking for like a house next year. And I feel like a lot of Utah students can connect to that. So another question I have for you is, so as Utah continues to admit an increasing amount of students, do you think that the pricing of the houses, especially the houses like near campus, do you think that that will rapidly increase?
Yes, I definitely think that, especially since it's so close to the stadium and like so close to classes, and it's also very hard to find parking here. I think a lot of students are going to be looking for closer houses, and I think that's definitely going to make the rent go up, because Utah, I think, will probably take advantage of that, especially with the parking we have. But as renters rent their homes out to college students, a great way for them to make even more of a profit is to make the pricing increase, like I said. I've already started to look for my houses that I want to live in next year, and I've noticed that homes closer to the campus are way more expensive than the ones far away. And I think that even with this, people are going to start paying, the people that can pay more are going to pay more for the closer houses, and then I'm going to end up having to pay for somewhere farther, and then it's going to make me have to pay for more parking, and things like that. So I think either way, my price is definitely going to go up, and I think that's going to be the same for anybody who doesn't live here and have a house here that they can stay at already.
Yeah, I can agree, because after looking at some houses as well, I was talking to some friends who are sophomores and juniors here, and the ones that have closer houses, they're paying a lot higher of like rent than the houses that are further away. And then my friends who live further away said that they're having to pay more for gases, or they even had to purchase the more expensive parking pass here at the U just so that they can get to class. So my last question is, being from out of state and applying for in-state tuition, how does this also affect you?
So for in-state, I have to live in the state of Utah for most of the year so that I can get like the residency. I have to do a bunch of different steps to do that, but part of it is actually physically living here. And that means I'll have to start paying for my rent early. Because I have to have a permanent address all year and all through the summer, which I would like to visit home, but I'm going to have to be paying to, first of all, not be at home, but also be paying to live here instead of being home. Yeah, and it's just not the school year only that I have to pay for, which is already going to be really expensive for parking and all that. And with these prices increasing, financially this is going to take way more of a toll on me. I'm trying to get in-state tuition to be paying less, but with this new housing pricing, I will be paying more. It will be helpful to get in-state tuition, but either way, it would be helpful if prices weren't going up, because then I would be saving more money with this residency than I would without it.
Yeah, I can totally see that, because as people I know that live here that they got residency from California personally, like my friends, they said that, my one friend in particular, she has a house right next to the stadium, so she said that she was spending so much on rent that it almost balanced out. So her parents were getting upset because even next year they wanted to live in the same house, but the rent continued to go up, and it will continue to go up throughout her years because she still has 2 more years here at the U. So those are all my questions for you, but do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, and I was just going to add, doing the whole residency process is like such a big like thing like here that you have to do so many steps to get it, and with pricing going up, it almost makes it not worth it, because of all the other things I'm already going to have to pay for, and the prices going up just is really going to affect that. But you asked if I have a question. Yes, I feel like I have a few questions, but my main one is, what is something that can be done to help students out in the future?
I think that the main thing, because you can't really stop from housing prices going up, especially now that they're continuing to increase at like more rapid prices, I think the main thing is to spread awareness about it, because especially for people out of state, if they know that they're coming to a state where Utah housing prices are going up, like especially someone like you coming from Wisconsin because it's cheaper to live there than Utah, like I feel like people should know that it's going to cost them more than just like the tuition flat price that they see online. They see like the housing for on camp or like the dorms, and they see the dining hall charges in the classes, but they don't see what the future years are going to look like. So I think the main thing is just spreading awareness that prices are going up, and students have to be prepared that them and their families will have to pay increasing amounts, and it might increase every single year as they go to the U.
All right.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and this was for my Quest class, and I can share my document with you once I finish my research.
Okay, cool.